Well, good evening, everybody. What is up? Friday night. Welcome to the channel. You are watching the He Is Greater Than I gaming channel and video podcast. It's Friday night. It is our weekend. It is our video podcast night. And we are ready to jump in and have a good time tonight. We are going to do the podcast. I'm going to talk about a couple things, and then we will go ahead and get into Warzone and have ourselves a good time tonight. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive in. So, what I want to talk about tonight on the podcast, I want to just talk about some things that are kind of currently going on in our world. And then I'm also going to touch on the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Yeah. Rep them. But, yeah, that was weird. I think I was pretty awkward when I did that, but that's all right. If you're watching, you saw that. If you're not watching, you didn't see it. You just heard it if you're listening. So, anyways, what I want to talk about first, I don't want to feel like this is all I talk about on the podcast, but it's so just relevant because it's constant, it's every day, it's always going on, and it's just something that really weighs heavily on me because I have a lot of strong convictions about this, and I'm sure a lot of you do too. And then some of you probably have strong convictions on the opposite view than I have, and that's okay. That's what makes the world go round. We're all different. We all have different things that we think and different views and opinions on things. It's okay. But what I want to talk about is, obviously the last year and a half we've been dealing with this horrible C word, China virus, COVID, whatever you want to call it. And, it's had everybody going absolutely nuts. And, wear your mask. Don't wear your mask. Just the back and forth. It's just gotten ridiculous at this point. We rounded the curve with this year, and things kind of started coming on the rise. Everything was going good, and summer, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden school's getting ready to start back, and now all of a sudden cases are spiking, and people are being quarantined and this, that, and the other. On top of all that, we got this vaccine, and the media's pushing this vaccine, and the government's pushing this vaccine, and scientists are pushing this vaccine, and doctors are pushing this vaccine. But then you also have doctors and scientists that are saying don't get the vaccine. And so then you have, keyboard warriors on Facebook that think they know everything, and they're telling you need to get the vaccine, or you don't love your neighbor, or it's your duty as an American citizen to get the vaccine. And that really couldn't be farther from the truth. And all of this is nothing but Satan, and he's using this to divide people. It's not enough that we had BLM and Antifa, antagonizing things all last year, burning, looting, rioting, all that kind of stuff. And before you call me out on the BLM thing, let me just go ahead and say, of course, Black Lives Matter. I'm not at all saying that they don't, because all lives matter. You can ask Jesus. He died for all lives. But the organization of BLM is corrupt, communist, and evil. Yes, I said it. If you don't agree, that's fine. But I'm going to use this platform to say what I believe and what I think. And I understand that some people aren't going to agree with me, and they're not going to like it. And if they don't, then there's plenty of other streamers and plenty of other podcasts you can go listen to that will say what you want to hear. Doesn't mean it's going to be the truth, but they will say what you want to hear. So anyways, that aside, what I really want to focus on is the whole vaccine thing, because right now, basically where we're at in our world today is we're at the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. And if you're vaccinated, all is good. And if you're not vaccinated, oh, it's horrible, end of the world. And you're seeing all these things popping up on Facebook, and, hospitals overrun with COVID cases, and, 90% are unvaccinated, or 80%, or whatever the percent they throw out there is. And half the time, we don't even know where they're getting their percents from, or their numbers, or anything. And they're not telling you, what they're not telling you is that the hospitals are not necessarily overrun with COVID patients, and they have no beds for COVID patients. But what they're not mentioning is the fact that they're understaffed. That doctors and nurses are leaving hospitals. They're not telling you that. If you look around, if anywhere where you guys live is like where I live, there's signs everywhere that say now hiring. Every restaurant you go to, every store you go to, now hiring, we're hiring, we need help needed, apply inside. Why would hospitals be any different? Just think about that. But, as I was saying, so, vaccination versus non-vaccination. I heard something yesterday from somebody I've known for a long time, and I have a lot of respect for this person. They're a great person. I love this person. Haven't spoken to this person in a long time, but this person has had a big impact on my life in years past. And he's a great guy. I have nothing against him at all. But he basically posted a video, and he prefaced the video by saying, this is not a political statement. This is not, trying to, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I know he said that it's not a political statement. But the gist of his video was to say that he and his family, or at least he and his wife, got the vaccine, and they were glad that they got it, and they're really encouraging other people to get the vaccine as well, because they don't know what's coming. I understand. Nobody knows what's coming. That's why I haven't understood why the past year and a half people have been saying, oh, these are such uncertain times. This is all so unprecedented. It's like, okay, well, nobody knows the future except God. So we've never lived in truly certain times. We never know what's going to happen. I mean, if we lived in certain times, we would have known in 2019 that 2020 was going to be the worst year of our lives, and we would have done whatever we could to have avoided it. So, anyways, but back to what I was saying. So, he was basically trying to encourage people to get the vaccine. That's fine. If you want to say, I think you should get the vaccine, I don't have a problem with that. But what he also said was that, the people who have said they don't want to get the vaccine, he's saying that they've made it political, and that, you don't want to get the vaccine because it's all about control. You think somebody's trying to control you, and I'm not going to have anybody control me. Well, that's not it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm an anti-vaxxer. But what I am going to say is that I am anti this COVID vaccine, because I don't trust it. I don't trust the CDC. I don't trust the WHO. I definitely don't trust the government, and I don't trust the media. And there's been too much inconsistency with all of them over the past year and a half. Too much flip-flopping back and forth. Definitely, oh, by the way, don't trust Dr. Fauci at all. So, he's somebody that a lot of people like, but I can't stand him. But, and Dr. Fauci, if you hear this, yeah, I can't stand you. You're a liar, and you have deceived the American people over the past year and a half, and you need to answer for that. But anyways, I digress. Um, so to to address the vaccination issue, myself and many other people like me who are against the vaccine, we have not made it political. Let me be clear on that. The government is the one that made it political. Driven by the media, the government made it political, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. You know, look at New York. Oh no, let's go back to before the election. You had people like Kamala Harris saying, when Trump got the vaccine and got it approved and it was here, and you know, you had people like her and a lot of Democrats saying that, oh, we're not taking that. Well, then, lo and behold, Sleepy Joe wins the election, allegedly. He didn't really win it, in case you're wondering. But that's neither here nor there, or that's a topic for another podcast. Then he, wins his fraudulent election, and now all of a sudden the vaccine is the greatest gift to mankind ever, even greater than Jesus. Go figure. So you have all that, and I lost my train of thought there. But they made it political by saying that. That was the first way it was made political right there. Then you got the government pushing it and saying we need to get 70% of America vaccinated by July 4th so we can gather with our families and friends and have our barbecues. Seems if I remember correctly, there was this thing that happened back in 1776. What was that? Oh yeah. We gained our independence. We gained our freedom. We don't need the government to tell us what to do, because we have a constitution that tells us exactly what our freedoms are and that they are given to us by God. So, anyways, you have that, and that's where the politics came into this whole thing. And then you have the media pushing it, and every time you turn around, that's all you see on TV. And now, you have New York saying you can't go here or there unless you have the vaccine. Come on, that's not America. It sounds a lot like Nazi Germany to me. It sounds a lot like communism. Got a little tongue-tied there. No, it's been a long week. But you see where I'm going with this. That's not true freedom. And and okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I know specifically of one certain place where I live that anyone who comes to their facility that is going to have to make a delivery or come inside or anything like that, they are requiring, starting the 1st of October, for anyone that does that to have the vaccine. That's not right. You can't do that. You can't regulate people's health. People's health is their own personal choice. If I get in a car wreck and I'm paralyzed or I can't talk or whatever, and I've made my wishes beforehand to say, look, don't keep me on life support, take me off. That's my choice. You can't regulate people's health for them. Now, obviously, there's certain circumstances where, decisions have to be made by other people, but that's totally different than what we're talking about right now. I've heard the argument, well, what if your freedoms, you exercising your freedoms affect somebody else? And my rebuttal to that is, okay, so when people say it's my body, my choice, and they want to have an abortion, they're exercising their freedom because of Roe v. Wade. But that affects somebody else, doesn't it? Somebody else that didn't even get a say-so. Do you see where this is going? So no, the people who don't want the vaccine and who are against this vaccine did not make it political. Secondly, we are not getting it because we don't want somebody controlling us and making us do something we won't want to do. We're not getting it because we're saying that is what is coming. If the government can make you get a vaccine, what else can they make you do? They want you dependent on them. Why else would they send out all this money? Do you not see the trend? Well, just stay home and don't work, and we'll send you, $800 every month. Well, crap. That's not a bad deal. And that's for every kid you got too, here's some hush money. Just be quiet. Don't worry about what we're doing. Just take the vaccine, and here's $300. Yeah, I heard of a local entity where I live that's going to pay their employees $300 to get the vaccine. Come on, bribery? Really? How about you just give me $300 because I worked my butt off and I deserve it? Like, it's gotten so ridiculous at this point, guys. And we've got to stand up for it. We've got to stand up against tyranny. And that's all it is. That being said, if you do your research and you feel convicted that you need to get the vaccine, by all means get it. I'm not going to shame you. I don't suggest you get the vaccine. I don't encourage it. I feel like there's a lot of things that aren't known about it. Enough that's not known to not have a good reason to get it, especially when a lot of people have gone the last year and a half and not needed it, especially when there's over a 99% survival rate. It's just, I feel like me and so many other people have been saying this stuff over and over and over again, and people are just like, well, yeah, but it makes other people feel better. So that's how we operate now. We operate on feelings. It sounds mighty soft to me. Mighty soft. 1776, they weren't worried about how the British felt. This is America. You have the freedom to get the vaccine, you have the freedom not to get it. That should be the end of the discussion right there. So, that's my rant on the vaccine. And I'm now going to transition into a much happier note, something I'd like to focus on to take my mind off of all this junk that I just talked about. I'm going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, if you follow college football, and you're a college football fanatic like me, I don't care if you root for the Dogs or if you're a Bama fan. I pray for you, same as if you're a Gator fan. Bama and the Gators is probably the two teams that Georgia hates the most outside of Auburn and Tennessee, probably. We can usually tolerate anybody else. Well, South Carolina's done ticked us off in the last couple of years too, tearing up our hedges, but that's another story. But anyways, the season is swiftly approaching. Georgia, we have our first game September the 4th, 7:30, Charlotte, North Carolina. And we're going up against the mighty Clemson, who has a new starting quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei. Probably didn't say that right, but it's a big challenge. It's gonna be a huge task. Georgia, we've got a new quarterback as well. He played the last 4 games last year. If you follow college football, you know who JT Daniels is. He's got all kinds of projections already being placed on him, and so it's getting here pretty quick. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks away from the first game. I am super excited about this. I've been waiting all year for this. You know, they're supposed to be a full stadium, so that's going to be awesome. They didn't have that last year. And please pardon the baby crying in the background. She is having trouble sleeping these days. Um, but and actually, that being said, I'm going to pause this really quick, and we will be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Where were we? That's right. We were talking about Georgia football. So, anyways, game is swiftly approaching, and it's gonna just give an update for those of you who haven't heard. So Georgia's out a few starters. The most likely starting corner, not quarter, Tyke Smith, he is out with some kind of a foot/toe injury, as well as the also most likely starting tight end, Darnell Washington, who is a massive 6'7", 270-pound, just behemoth. Like, he can literally just stand up and put his arm up and catch the ball. I mean, it's phenomenal. He's very talented. He is also out with some sort of foot injury and looking like he's projected to be out 3 to 4 weeks at least. Definitely probably going to miss the first game, which is a damper. But Georgia has tons of talent. There's tons of guys, and my thought process is, these starters being out, and there's a few others, but I think they actually are projected to be ready for the first game. So there's really a lot of good, a lot of positive for this. And so my thought process is the injuries don't determine the outcome of the game. They just don't. What determines the outcome of the game is the players that play on that field. And Georgia is loaded with talent. So is Clemson. So the best thing for them to do is play the game. Put their best players on the field that they have and go at it. See who can win. In fact, the OC, Todd Monken, that's exactly what he said. He said, Clemson has good players. We have good players. So let's get out on the field and go play the game. That's what it's all about. So I'm excited. It's going to be awesome. And it's quickly approaching. 2 weeks from tomorrow. Cannot wait. So that being said, appreciate everybody tuning in for the video podcast tonight. This has been a production of the He Is Greater Than I video gaming channel. And we will see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will catch you next week.